This is a brief tutorial on Dice Hospital, a dice placement management game uh, on Board Game Arena. We are all administrators of this hospital that already has some buildings built, but we will build more buildings, add specialists, and treat patients. Patients are represented by dice, and the number on the die represents the health of the patient. Our goal is to upgrade these die all the way to 6, and then one more time to 7, which will discharge that patient as fully healed. As we discharge patients, depending on how many we discharge at a time, we get points. But every turn that we don't work and help a patient out, their die value decreases by 1. And if it falls below 1, then the patient dies and is sent to the mortuary. So each turn, there are 8 turns in the game. Each turn you will be receiving 3 more patients, and there's a way to choose those. Then you will place your workers, your nurses, into different areas to heal those patients, to treat those patients, and then any treated patients that are discharged are discharged. Any ones that aren't treated are reduced, and you go to the next round and get 3 more patients. It's also important to note that you only have 12 spots in your pharmacy or in your hospital. If you receive 3 patients and don't have room for them, you have to remove current patients in your hospital, and they will be sent to the mortuary as well. Mortuaries are -2 points. Any patients that are sent there are -2 points at the end of the game. So you want to avoid that if you can. There are 3 different colors: red, yellow, and green, and they represent types of patients, and there are different buildings and things and specialists that will help different colors depending on their values. At the very beginning, you have 1 of each number and 1 of each color of 3, 4, and 5. You can then choose to change those around by switching these. You can, in BGA, you just click one and click the other and they will switch. So let's say I wanted the red to be 4 and the yellow to be 3. I just left mine as is, but you can make those changes at the beginning, like if you see certain of these improvements or specialists that you might want. So let's go through a typical turn. So once I've done that, and everybody has chosen their... Oh, I'm sorry, it's not 1 of each color. You just get 3 random die. I happen to get 1 of each color, but they could be different colors. And then you decide which one is 3, which one is 4, and which one is 5. Then, at the beginning, you get to choose an administrator. This is just a special ability that each of you have. My special ability was that I could ignore 1 red patient per round. So if I didn't treat this red 3, even though it should go down to 2, I can say, well, just ignore that 1 for this round, and it won't decrease its value. There are other specialties that can happen. Each of these, this one was able to ignore a green one. This one, if you discharged 2 patients at the same time, at least 2 patients, you get an extra point. Alright, these are the hospital trucks with dice that come in. Now, it's important that the way that these dice are set in the trucks are in increasing order. So, first of all these dice are rolled randomly, but you can't have any 1s and you can't have any 6s. So it'll all be values 2 through 5. And they are placed in increasing order from 1 to 4 into these hospitals. And if you are left of the first player, so I think right of the first player, meaning the last player for that round, which happened to be me this time, you can choose to move values dice of the same value between 2 ambulances. So for instance, if I wanted to move this 3 and this 3 and swap those, I can move those. Or this, no, yeah, that's the only thing I can do in this case. But if there was a 2 here, I could swap it with that 2. Now, there's one more hospital than there are people. Each of us will choose, or sorry, one more ambulance than there are people. Each of us will choose one of these ambulances. Obviously, the ones here on the right are more healthy. These 5s are more likely to be turned to 6s, and it's easier to get them healed. However, you're also choosing turn order as well. There's a random turn order for the very beginning, but as soon as we choose dice and choose ambulances, the person who chooses the lowest number goes first. And that's important for selecting these things. The first player will also then get to select one of these up here first as well. And there's a few other, and the other bonus that you get for going first is you get a blood bank token, which I'll explain in a bit. So after somebody decides whether they want to swap things out, then we go through and each person chooses an ambulance. So my opponent here chose ambulance 3. All 3 of those go into their hospital. They chose 4. So I was kind of stuck with one of these lower ones. Now obviously I could choose 1, but I get the same benefits out of 2, and those are 3s instead. So I'm probably just going to choose these because I don't really have a preference on color at this point, and I just want higher, healthier patients. So I choose those 3, and now these are the patients in my hospital. Now I get to choose an improvement. There are 2 types of improvements. There are new wards, I think they're called. These are basically new abilities. You start out with some basic abilities, these 6 basic abilities. This one is heal a green patient one level. This one is heal red, yellow, and then these are based on numbers. You can heal a 5 or a 6 patient, heal a 1 or a 2, heal a 3 or a 4. These are just basic abilities. They're fine and they're useful, but these are always going to be better. For instance, this one, you can heal a red patient 3 times instead. So a 3 can go to 4, 5, 6. You could also heal a 5 to 6 and then out. It doesn't have to be exactly 3 times. So there's not the requirement. It's just up to 3 times you can heal a red patient. This one, if you have yellows, sequential numbers, so like 2, 3, 4, or 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, you heal all 3 of them one step. Then you have specialists. Specialists are nice because they give you an extra meeple, they give you an extra person to place, but they also have a bonus. So for instance, if this specialist heals a yellow patient, they can also heal another yellow patient or the same yellow patient an additional step. So they just get a bonus on a yellow patient. That doesn't mean they can only heal yellow patients. They can do other things too. But when they heal a yellow, they get a bonus for that. So I decided to choose this one because also if you have a blood token, you are able to get rid of one of these to. I'm sorry, not if you have a blood bag, but if you want to get rid of one of your other improvements in this round, you can use that and gain a blood bag. Blood bags are points at the end of the game, and they give you special abilities. Obviously, you're not going to want to do that at first, but eventually, like perhaps you just have a useless building that there's just no reason to have. You may want to get rid of that at the end, especially towards the end of the game. In fact, I probably should have done it in this play too, then I forgot to at the end of the game. Anyway, I decided no, I don't want to do that. And then the next players, one took a new person. See, they get a new meeple, nurse here, and then this person took a new improvement. This new improvement. All right, so everybody took dice and took improvements. Now is where the main meat of the game comes in. So now you have to figure out what you want to do to heal dice. And you have 3 nurses here, and you could have a 4th if you took an improvement. And you place them on different places to change those dice in some way, to heal them, to increase their number. So for instance, I put a nurse here, which increased that 3 to a 6. Puts it 3 spots. Now notice they go down every time you heal. Anytime you treat a patient, they go down. That means they've been treated. That means they will not decrease in value the next at the end of the round. That does not mean you have to stop healing them. If I wanted to, I could put another nurse here on the red one or here on the 5/6 one and heal this one again to put it into discharge. I don't believe I did that. No, it looks like I've turned that one into a 6 and that one into a 4, and I didn't heal anybody. Now the reason you might not want to discharge anybody in a round is if you can save up a bunch and then do a bunch at once, the patients become worth more the more patients you do at once. It's not a huge amount more, like the difference between 4 and 5 at once is not that different, not that big. If you can get up to 10, 11, 12, then you get way big bonus points, but that's pretty rare. That's pretty difficult to do. But it's much better to do 2 patients at a time than 1. So that's where I would recommend saving. If you're going to do 1, at least do 2, because then you get quite a bit of a bonus. It goes from the patient being worth 1 point to the patient being worth 1.5 points, and that can be big in a game where 50 points max is what you're looking at probably. All right, so notice after the end of this, all these patients have been treated, and these patients will decrease in value. Although for me, because I have this specialist, or this I'm special ability, this administrator, I can ignore that 3. It won't turn into a 2. And so once everybody's done, then all the neglected patients go down to 2, or go down 1 value. Any patients that have discharged are scored, and then we go back to round 2. And now I was first, or because I was first, I get to choose the first ambulance. The person the person going last gets to decide if they want to choose die. There's one other thing about choosing ambulances that you should know. Let's see, they did a bunch of swapping. You can do more than one swap there. Not sure why exactly, but they did. When you choose an ambulance and you're first player, you cannot choose the first ambulance. They want to prevent people from just going first every single time. Not sure why you would. A lot of times the first ambulance is pretty bad, but as I am the first ambulance, or I cannot choose this first ambulance. Now, actually, this is pretty nice here, because these 3 are all pretty good. The difference between these 2 is pretty minimal. So unless I wanted to just get all 5s, this 2 is pretty good, and it probably makes me go first because I don't think anybody's going to pick that. So I believe I did pick that one, so I could hopefully get that blood bag and get first choice. And that's what happened. So I was able to choose an improvement, and I chose this one. This one allows you to improve 2 patients that are from 1 to 3 value 2 times. So I can use this to turn this to 3 into a 5 and this 2 into a 4 at the same time. Doesn't matter the color if it's gray. All right, one more thing before we kind of skip forward. The blood bags. So 2 things you can do with blood bags. If you don't use them, they're a point at the end of the game. But if you do use them, they let you do one of 2 things. First, they let you just heal a guy. So you could just and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so these are the 2 things that you can do. This just says here, if you have a blood bag, you can do either heal a die one value, and again, it could be one that's up here or one that's down here, or you can change the color of a die temporarily. And that might be useful in cases where, well, let's say I didn't have any reds, but I really wanted to heal somebody 3 times. So I could change the color temporarily of this 2 to a red, and then I could heal it 3 times so it doesn't die. That kind of thing. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead to a later round and show you kind of what a fuller hospital looks like. Alright, this is round 7 of the game, so everybody's got a fairly full hospital and a bunch of extra specialists. I ended up specializing in kind of two different areas. I was able to get this green combo that was kind of fun to do. This one, if you have all three greens at the same number, you can heal them all at once. This one, if you have a increasing sequence of green, you can heal them all at once. And so I would set up combos like in this case, I was able to get a 3, 4, and a 5 to 4, 5, and a 6, and then I'm able to do those 3 6s and heal them all at the same time, right? Like that. So you can see, you can do those setups and get some interesting things. I also got the surgeon who, if you heal a red patient, you can heal another a red patient another time. So basically, if I put this red patient or if this surgeon here, I can heal somebody from a 3 all the way to discharge, right? Because 3 steps goes 4, 5, 6 plus the one here to discharge. So that was kind of a nice little like get one all the way from low if needed to. So you can see you use some combos. These ones are more general ones. This one, if you heal somebody with them, then you can heal 2 other patients that are 1 to 3. But notice you have to have 2 that are 1 to 3. I had a case where I only had 1 that was 1 to 3, and it didn't let me use that special ability. This lets you heal one that's 4, 5, or 6. It's kind of nice to get somebody out the door, just 1 extra out the door. So yeah, this is basically how the game goes. You'll have 1 more round after this. Important things to remember: make sure that you're making enough room for new patients every round. The worst thing is to have to get rid of patients at the mortuary for -2 points. I mean, maybe it's okay if you got a really low one and you were just not planning on doing anything with them anyway, but typically that's not a great thing. If you can make sure there's 3 spots open after each round so that you have 3 more that are coming in, then that's good. Definitely keep attention on that. Set up combos. The more of these that you can do at once, the better. So sometimes it's better to just keep things at 6 healed so that you can do a bunch more the next round, as long as you have room for people, instead of healing them from 6 all the way out to discharge. And then, yeah, look at the cards and things that you have and pick your hospitals based on that. First player and figuring out which ones of these that you need is actually a bigger deal than you think. You would think, well, I'll just pick the healthiest patients every time. You really want to pick certain improvements and specialists. Sometimes you just say, I need another nurse. I don't want to, I need to make sure that both of the new specialists aren't taken so that I just have another person to start placing, right? Because these people just give you more things that you can do. But if you have too many of these people, you don't have enough places to put them. Because you can never put something more than one person on a single tile. So anyway, that's the game. 8 rounds, the most points win. The way this over here works, the scoring, this is the points that you were able to get through discharging patients. This is the blood bags that you have, again, 1 point at the end of the game, and this is the death tokens. And this player did not do well. I think they just got too full and had to get rid of. And so that's minus points. It looks like you cannot go below 0, maybe? I don't know exactly. And then this over here is the ambulance that you took, the number of the ambulance, so that you can see, okay, who's going to go first, second, third. And these are all calculated up to get your final score at the end of the game. And there are some tiebreakers, but yeah, that's the game. Hope this is helpful.